So this is question 1 from the assessment. So I'm just going to read through the question and then pick out the key points. So it says the cubic polynomial f of x is defined by f of x equals 4x cubed plus 9x minus 5 by showing that 2x minus 1 is a factor of f of x. Express f of x as the product of a linear factor and a quadratic factor. So I'm going to pick out the key information now. So I'm going to need to know that my cubic, it tells me that that's my factor, and it wants, in fact I'm going to do this in different code to show what it wants. It wants me to show that that's a factor, and it wants me to express f of x as a product of a linear factor and a quadratic factor. So that means my answer is going to look like something x plus something. There's my linear factor, and I'll have a quadratic factor, so let's say cx squared plus dx plus, let's use f instead of e. So that's my key knowledge. My key knowledge is I can write a cubic as a linear times a quadratic. Now it says by showing that 2x minus 1 is a factor, so I need to translate that into maths. So factor means that one of those brackets must be 2x minus 1. So I know that 2x minus 1 is going to be one of the brackets, because it's a factor. But it says show that's a factor. So this is when I need some more key knowledge. So the key knowledge I need to know is that if f of, let's say f of a equals 0, then that means x minus a is a factor. That's called the factor theorem. So if I want to show that 2x minus 1 is a factor, I need to think, well, what value of x would make this bracket equal to 0? What would make that factor equal to 0? So if you can't spot it, you could do a bit of working out. 2x minus 1 equals 0, gives us 2x equals 1, gives us x equals 1/2. Okay, so to show its factor, I'm going to sub in f of a half. So I'm going to sub in a half into my cubic. So 4 times a half cubed plus 9 times a half, take away 5. I would type that into a calculator and I would get 0. And then I would just put, therefore, 2x minus 1 is a factor. Okay, so now I know that's a factor. I've shown it's a factor. I then need to get the quadratic factor. So there's multiple ways I can do this. I can do a grid, I can do a division, I can expand it and compare coefficients. I'm going to use the grid because I think that's the way that most people are comfortable with. Okay, so let's do the grid. So I just need to zoom out so I can still see the cubic. So I draw my grid, and remember, I would put my factors on the outside from when we do multiplication with the grid. So on one side, I'm going to put 2x minus 1, and at the top, I'm hopefully going to get my quadratic factor. So the middle bit should be my cubic. So I'm going to start off by putting the first term in, so 4x cubed. And then I say to myself, what do I times 2x by to get 4x cubed? So what am I going to put at the top there? And we can spot very quickly, it's just 2x squared. So now I can fill in that column. So I can do 2x squared times minus 1, which gives me minus 2x squared. Now this is where people tend to make mistakes. Be very careful at this point. Look at our cubic. Look at how many x squared terms we have. We don't have any. So some people might be tempted to put 9x in the grid next. However, that would be a mistake, because in my grid I've got minus 2x squared, but I don't want any x squareds in my grid. So my next term needs to be plus 2x squared to get rid of the minus 2x squared already there. So then I say, what do I times 2x by to get 2x squared? Again, it's quick to see. I just times it by an x, or positive x. I'll put the plus there. In fact, I want that in blue. Now I can fill in that column. So I do x times minus 1, which gives me minus x. So again, I look back in my cubic now. So I've got the 4x cubed. I've got the no x squared. So the next thing I need is 9x. Now again, be careful. Don't just put 9x in there straight away. We've already got minus x. So I need to think, what do I need to put there next to it to get 9x squared? Sorry, just 9x. So I need to plus 10 more x's. And so now I say, what do I times 2x by to get 10x? And again, very quickly, we can see that's 5. I'm going to put a plus there to remind me it's positive. Now I can fill in that column. So 5 times minus 1 gives me minus 5. And because we know 2x minus 1 is a factor, I know that my final number here, the minus 5, should match with my final number in my cubic. Now I'm just going to emphasize, remember that these diagonal terms should make the cubic. So minus 2x squared and 2x squared makes 0x squared. Minus x and 10x makes 9x, which is what we have. And then the minus 5 is there and the 4x cubed is there. So it wanted me to express it as a product. So here's where I need my key knowledge. And to translate the word product into maths, product means times. So therefore, I can write my function. So I can write my f of x as 2x minus 1 times 2x squared plus x plus 5. Okay, and let's go through the marks. So for this one, you would get 1 mark for using the factor theorem. So subbing in a half and getting 0. You would get 1 mark for attempting to do the grid. Now by attempting, that means putting 2x minus 1 down the side, starting with 4x cubed inside the grid, and trying to fill in the grid. So you might have made a few numerical mistakes, but you'll still get a mark for trying for the method. You then get 1 mark for getting the correct cubic at the top, and you get your final mark for remembering to write it as a product for showing the examiner you know what the word product means.